Welcome to our podcast, How to Be a Leader Mastering Leadership in 2024. We dive deep into the essential qualities and skills that define effective leadership in today's dynamic landscape. Whether you are an aspiring leader, a team manager, or simply looking to enhance your influence, this podcast is packed with practical tips and strategies to help you lead with confidence and clarity. We have very esteemed guests on a podcast today, Pranav Kumar. Pranav is a veteran engineering leader with about a decade of experience across the software industry. He has been in leadership roles from quite a young age and has been a part of various senior and middle leadership roles. He has a deep rooted interest in psychology, which is the main reason why the leadership roles interest him and also makes his leadership style unconventional.
Thanks for having me, Pratibha. Thanks for inviting me.
Nice to have you after so long, Pranav. So let's start.
Yep.
The first part is introduction. Can you share your background and what inspired you to focus on leadership in 2024?
My background is basically I started off as a software engineer and then worked on my ways up to the corporate ladders, climbing up the leadership roles, starting as a team lead very early on in the career, then as an engineering manager, then as the vice president of engineering, and I'm still continuing that. And in 2024, I mean, it's not very specific to 2024, but yeah, I have realized that um, the leadership position is different at various different roles. So specific to where you are actually posted, for example in the middle management or in the senior management. So the senior management roles is more of pure management type roles, technical management type roles, but the middle management has hands-on engineering to it. So I like the middle management roles more than the senior management roles because it has a glimpse of everything that I personally like. Yeah. So,
Thank you, Pranav. So, next. How do you define leadership in today's rapidly changing world?
so a leadership is all about people and how to effectively communicate to them. So not just leadership. So anything, any business that you're running, it's all about people. Your stakeholders are people. The product builders, the people who are working in a project, they are all in the end they're all people, and you just need to communicate with them. And communication is the real key. Understanding and other aspects also come into the picture, but yeah, it's people for now. And knowing to really understand and facilitate people at various positions is kind of a good form of leadership. So for example, if you are leading a team,
Hmm.
then in that case, you really have to enable the people working in your team to be successful at a task. It's your job as a leader to enable people. So there is a stark difference between a leader and a manager, but yeah, we'll come to that maybe in the
Yeah,
next few times.
sure. Very true, Pranav. You're very right. I have chosen you for this topic for some reason. Nice to have you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, our next section is the evolving landscape of leadership.
Yeah.
What are the biggest changes in leadership you've observed in recent years?
Yeah, so in the recent years, of late, what has happened is due to the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a shift in terms of how people work and where do they work from. So, in that regard, what happened is that the authoritarian style of leadership, which has long been standing before, that had a huge blow to the that basically did not work and took a huge blow in that regards. So there are a lot of other management styles that have become popular now, and few of them, I mean, it would not be wise to list each one of them, but yeah, now basically it involves everything related to how you enable people rather than how you direct people. So you need to know when you need to enable people and when you need to direct people. So the difference actually defines what leadership style you choose. And
True.
yeah, and leadership is extremely personal, and it really, and if you grow into a leadership role from scratch, I mean, being trained, then it makes more of who you are as a leader, and that is what will distinguish you from it.
True. Is it like a kind of character also? It should be your own character.
Leadership is a character, yes. If you are a strong leader, that defines who you are. I mean, it builds from your character. If you have a strong character, the leadership styles that you choose will actually be based on those characters that you really are.
True. Thank you so much, Pranav. So let's move
Yeah,
to next question.
sure.
How has the shift to remote and hybrid work environments impacted leadership styles and effectiveness?
Yeah, so see, there are a few things. The first thing is, I'll start with the challenges, although I do not like to start with the negative things, but for the sake of this discussion, let's do it. So, the main challenge with remote work is people do not get connected to each other, and that disconnect makes it harder to lead.
Hmm.
Although it has its own benefits, I mean, some managers, as I would say, they would use the team to get more work done, but eventually it's fine. There are two faces of anything. So one side is taking too much time, for the office work, and kind of vanishing of boundaries between the work and your personal life.
Hmm.
But at the same time, the other side to it is that, you know the I mean, people lose the personal connect. So the reason why you go to office, or previously people used to go to office, was also some part related to the personal connects that you form in office, the bonds that you form in office. So with that going down, the amount of disconnect between people has
Hmm.
increased, and that is exactly what is causing the disconnect in various forms of leadership. Not one form of leadership is disconnected, but various other forms of leaderships are disconnected. So, and again, it varies around based on the landscape of the business. So, for example, in you cannot employ people who are not self motivated
True.
uh, when you are giving a full remote opportunity. So these qualities has to be present in the individual that you are hiring. But if you already have a team which was working from office, but then suddenly got to work from home for quite a long time, then you kind of figure out people who really fit in. Some people would take advantage of the situation, some people would stay true well, nobody is looking. So based on that, I think situational leadership is one of the main form of leaderships that is evolving. I mean, there are always a lot of other forms of leadership that are coming around, but yeah, based on situational leadership styles, basically it kind of has a boost more in the current leadership era, after the especially after the COVID part, where right now you don't treat people kind of everyone same. So for example, if someone is misusing your liberty, you
Hmm.
treat them differently. And if someone is really being diligent, you don't, I mean, like, you just enable them, let them do their work, delegate more tasks to them. And you know there is a skill will matrix, of course, that you use. And then the skill will matrix also presents itself in a variety of forms, um, in a variety of ways. So yeah, this is basically what happened. This is a kind of a rough picture of what has happened, but not complete. I cannot call it the complete picture, because if we have to give the complete picture, then we'll have to go through each situation painfully one by one, and then maybe we could come to a decent enough conclusion. But yeah, for now, this works for us.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with you. Thank you. And next question is, what are the key leadership skills that are essential for 2024 and beyond? Or any, you can tell, like any skills also.
So I don't think it's just related to the time. I mean, in the current times, yes, you have Gen Zs available. Gen Zs coming to the workplace, and soon there would be Gen Alpha coming to the workplace. And at the same time, you have a lot of technological advancements,
Hmm.
which will affect all of the fields that you put your thought to. So leadership also gets affected by that. So uh, you can learn the leadership styles by any textbook, that's fine, but as long as you don't practice it, you don't do it in real life, it's not going to help you. Because if something is not natural to you, it you will have to learn it. And just as kids, when we were told, our parents used to say, right, and it's kind of true that if you rehearse something very well and if you do it over and over again incessantly, uh, that kind of trains your brain to remember it within very short span of time. And that's what happens with even leadership. Leaders are not built, sorry, leaders are not born, they are made. And it's a choice. Leadership is a choice. So most people think that, as the designation increases, you feel good about it. But the problem with that is the current system in the workforce that we are currently, let's talk about India, specific to India. We have the title of managers. So that's a wrong notion, which kind of differentiates a leader and a manager. And I
Hmm.
really don't like that title. The manager title is one of the worst titles that I could ever imagine. But okay, for now it's still working for everyone. Nobody is complaining. But yeah, if you see many young leaders or many veteran leaders who have seen through the walks of life, they never write they never write managers. They will always prefer writing leaders. And that's the whole point and the whole beauty of this thing. Leadership, for me, for example, in the current world, is uh, leading by example. That's the
Hmm.
first thing. So you cannot be a good leader unless you really show your team the path that they need to go. And for example, sometimes it's okay to not know some things that the team would require, but you just need, as a leader, you need to place the right people for the team and enable the team. What I mean by enable is, you need to create environment in front of the team so that they can be set up for success. So, as a leader, it's your job to lead by example and set up others for success. And yeah, communication comes as a very important part. Emotional intelligence and a lot of other aspects come into play, wherein I feel every leader should go through the book by Daniel Goleman, Emotional Intelligence and Working with Emotional Intelligence. There is one more book, Primal Leadership. Those
Hmm.
books basically define and actually give you what people or what leaders did and what common traits do they have, and how do you systematically become a good leader of sorts. And it has repeatedly been proven that IQ is just not the complete predictor of success. It's
True.
a holistic picture. So by default, we have been taught to be extremes, especially in India. We are generally taught to take things to extremes. But what I have eventually figured out is, um, it's the balance that makes more sense than to be at extremes.
Yes.
So yeah, so it depending on the situation. Let's say if you have to take an authoritative leadership style, that's up to you, it's your choice. But but in general, for me, uh, you know anytime leading with emotional intelligence in mind is the way to go. And it might also be kind of seen as a softness in a leader, but I think that should be present in a leader. So there are many people who might find emotional leading with emotional intelligence as a kind of weakness, or they are soft managers. Yes, they do. And yeah, so that, but yes, it increases the work that you are doing, the work amount of work that you will be spending. But it's worth it in the end. When you see your team growing, there's no better happiness and fulfillment like that. So I run by fulfillment. And I think if as a leader you run by fulfillment, where you define your fulfillment in the team construct as, most of the people in the team getting to the goal where everyone is in the picture and each party is enlightened. But I mean, both in terms of the company, both in terms of the product, in terms of the technology, in terms of who the person wanted to be under your leadership. I think I took a lot of time on this question, but it's worth it.
No, this is very, beautiful topic, I believe. So let's
Indeed.
explore more. Yeah. So our next session is also emotional intelligence and leadership.
Yeah.
So let's put more light, through you. Our next question is, how important is emotional intelligence in modern leadership, and how can leaders develop the skill?
Okay, it's extremely important to be emotionally intelligent. That's a no-brainer now, and it will eventually get very important in the long term because of the other aspects that are also coming. So, for example, there are technological advancements that are going on. The best example would be the generative pre-trained transformers that are coming along, and they are actually becoming good at what they are doing, although they are just next word predictors, but they're getting good at what really they want to do. And at the same time, there would be a situation where a lot of loneliness and a lot of problems where people would be disconnected from each other is soon going to emerge, because the latest trends in Gen Alphas and Gen Zs show all of these trends where there are more introverts coming up. I mean, I'm not generalizing, but based on few such studies, I'll send you the citation shortly.
Hmm.
The number of introverts, or the amount of introverts coming up, is on the rise. A lot of
Hmm.
things are there for a reason, not just the technology. But yeah, the eventual landscape would require emotional intelligence because of the shift in which this notion is happening. So, for example, if you
Hmm.
told 20 years back someone to do something, they would love their jobs, they would do anything to be in the job. But now that's not the case. Now people, mm, fi- many people want to find fulfillment, and
Yes.
especially the Gen Zs and Gen Alphas, they are more passionate about uh, you know what they are doing and how they are doing. I don't know if it is a bubble, but yeah, as of now, as it stands, authoritarian leadership style is generally looked down upon, and you won't be able to retain talent with authoritarian leadership style. So, emotional intelligence is actually the leadership style to be starting, let's say, from now. So eventually we will be there, because as a society everyone evolves, and I think slowly the older leaders would be cleared off, and the younger leaders would pave their paths inside the society and inside the systems. With that, more of we'll see more of emotionally intelligent leaders on the rise. And coming to emotional intelligence basically has five parts, and this is straight coming from the book of Daniel Goleman. The book is titled Emotional Intelligence. There are five basic parts to emotional intelligence. The first three parts revolve around your own self. The second two
Hmm.
parts revolve around how you interact with others. The first
Hmm.
part is understanding your own emotions and basically labeling them. So it's a self work. So if you do not know yourself, you need you got to do some work. And if you do not know yourself, you will never be a good leader at the same time. So the first thing is to understand your emotions. So for example, let's take a scenario where you get angry at your colleague, and let's halt it here. You just get angry. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, if you are emotionally intelligent, what you would do is you would tend to detach from that emotion, and you'll manage that emotion. You'll not control it, you'll manage it. You'll tell yourself, "Okay, okay, maybe this is not the right time for this. We need to focus on something else," right? And it could be your own way. And without emotional intelligence, you will be reacting. The first part is, without understanding your emotions, you would directly be reacting on an autopilot mode, because emotions are made, I mean, emotions are what make people human. So, and at the same time, overdoing of it actually makes you less human, maybe. Yeah. So when you do that, when you react on things, then you do not really understand the damage that you will be doing with your words. And mind it, I mean, anyone who says to me, talks to me nice, I would be nice to them, right? And anyone who says mean things to me, I wouldn't want to be around them, right? So even in anger, right? I mean, who wants to be a person around a person like that? It's okay. Now, the second part is basically managing your own emotions. First part was first understanding, okay, you're feeling anger, you have rage building in your thing. And this is not just about rage, this is other emotions also. So, for example, happy, sad, you need to label your emotions. And then you manage your emotions in the second part. Okay, do I need to react in this situation? Yes or no? If the answer comes yes, then do it. If the answer comes no, then don't. But you need to make sure that you are away from the emotions. You're watching it from a high ground rather than being involved in it. If you are involved in it, you will fuel it, and a lot of other complications will happen. So I'll leave your audience to read the book for more information on this. But yeah, it has been very easily described, and I kind of love that book. Okay, coming to the second point, sorry, the third point. The third point is self motivation, and it's kind of the most important thing which I feel, because
Hmm.
there actually, when there is no one looking, you do the right things. And whenever you are under emotions which are very high, in kind of both frequency and magnitude, in that case, you need to really self-regulate yourself. And let's say in terms of areas where you do not feel motivated, you have an inner urge to motivate yourself to do that thing. So self motivation, this is what exactly self motivation is. And self motivation is absolutely necessary and a required condition in kind of emotional intelligence construct. So these three kind of uh, ideas were from a personal perspective. So as a leader, how you should be or what you should know about yourself is what these three pillars or these three parts really entail. Now, in addition to this, what happens is, there are two more points which kind of are copies from the first two part, but it relates to others. So the next thing is understanding others emotions. So when you get good at understanding your own emotions, you
Hmm.
you start understanding others' emotions also. And as humans, everyone has mirror neurons over here, so you can actually relate, unless you have less of them, maybe. But okay, those are exceptions. It's okay. So uh, yeah, so when you understand others emotions, you understand which situation they are coming from, and that helps you build a kind of emotional support, and at the same time the situations that are required to condition that person. The next thing is, and it has not to be mistaken with controlling, and that is managing others emotions. Okay, managing others emotions and controlling someone are two different things. Managing others emotions means creating the right set of environment for the person to function. It's not control. Control is you define how the person should function. But in managing others emotions, you manage their emotions rather than controlling them. So for example, you create the environments necessary for that person to be kind of being set up for success. I mean, that success could be as small as getting out of an emotive state, a very high emotive state. So
Hmm.
these things actually constitute the base of any kind of emotional intelligence. So empathy is the main aspect which defines the two parts where you connect to someone else. One was understanding others emotions, and the second was managing others emotions. So these two are parts of empathy. So you need empathy as a basic module in emotional intelligence whenever you are reading. So when you understand someone as a person, it becomes very easy to really push set them up for success.
True. Okay. So you know what? You have also taught mindfulness along with this. Be mindful of what you're doing.
True, true.
Yeah. And we explained this very beautifully. But I have a next part to this section is
Sure.
like,
Please.
can you share an example of how emotional intelligence has made a difference in making a leadership success?
Yeah, so I kind of get it from my mom, but yeah, so initially when I was not very clear about Daniel Goleman's book and how he sees, so it's not just one person who is involved. The reason why I keep talking about him is basically mm, the ease in which he has explained things
Hmm.
and the facts that he has done. He is kind of an authority in that subject. So before that, when I was a team lead in my first company,
Hmm.
it was more of kind of a Hindi word bhaichara between the teams which I used to do. And I was not aware that, this can be a part of emotional intelligence, but then there was a challenge where, I had senior members in my team. Actually, everyone was senior to me, but I was the team lead.
Hmm.
So I kind of had a good amount of challenge when I was trying to convince them to do something, especially
Hmm.
when we were coding. I had a hard time convincing them, कि, okay, no, this is not good code, this is bad code, and this is not what we want. I mean, these are just examples which giving. So I used to do it in a way where everyone is friendly, everyone is happy, and that was the way I initially saw and led. But eventually, after kind of reading the books and at the same time practicing it in real life, I realized that, you know, it doesn't matter whether someone is senior to you or junior to you, as long as you are able to maintain the rapport and understand each one's emotions, you manage their emotions, it's fine. So the same situations used to happen every single time. So for example, in my first company, sometimes we were not able to deliver things on time, and that's where we started introducing some processes so that they can be put into place and we deliver consistently. So what
Hmm.
happened was we tried a few things. So bhaichara wala thing which we talked about, right? Which I talked about in like quite 5 minutes back. So initially that did not work, but then by that time I was thorough with the books that I had read. Now the next time I tried it with the ways which was mentioned, I was just trying, I was just learning, I was trying hard. So eventually it worked out, but yeah, there were hiccups. I took around 6 months to a year to get past those hiccups, and
Hmm.
eventually, um, then I was promoted to a engineering manager, and then I had a bigger team to look after because the team size was quite large. So that slowly started to settle in, and we were able to solve a majority of issues, especially people issues within the company. And that's where or that's where I learned how exactly to put it into real life. So we had different ways. We had created different, say, for example, if someone wanted to be in a leadership role, so we used to try them out for some time. We used to put them in meetings, some of the meetings that they used to drive, and then there were other things that we used to do. For example, we used to create small committees for Toastmasters Club to make everyone speak, and we used to have a debate committee and a gaming committee which would organize these things. And so the whole idea is, if the building of rapport in the team is what I learned, and handling each individuals, that is another thing which became better. And again, apart from that, so it made my life extremely easy when I had to let someone go. That is kind of the worst situation for managers
Hmm.
when they're dealing with it, and most managers shy away from it, while some companies have the HRs deal with it. But I think the managers should be the one conveying the messages and kind of leading the things through, so that people learn how to have the hard conversations. So that was one of the biggest learnings for me, that having hard conversations is extremely important. And
Yes.
um, I mean, I was able to have the hard conversations. Previously, I was not able to have the hard conversations. I would keep it to up to myself, and I used to bug my manager that time. So I was fortunate enough that he gave me ample freedom to really try out what I wanted, and I'm really kind of thankful to him for creating this sort of career for me. But yeah, so coming back to the hard conversations that we were talking about, so we took multiple separation calls, and most of them were easily facilitated in a variety of constructs.
Hmm.
Obviously, there would be some situations where there were extremely complex situations, but yeah, we were able to navigate it through them. And similarly, as I joined as a VP engineering and head of engineering at Future Ends, that time, the team was really, um, let's say, underconfident. Okay, and
Hmm.
I was able to turn that around within 2 months, and the entire team was full of confidence. They were so underconfident that they were not even willing to leave, thinking they would not get jobs outside. And when they were confident, there was a risk that they would leave because they were intelligent people. I spotted their intelligence when I was talking to them based on the work. But it was okay for me that I took a risk and it paid off. But most of them, not most of them, all of them chose to stay with me. and that is the biggest achievement that I can talk about whenever I or wherever I go in support of an emotional intelligence construct. So, I mean, that team was not built by me. At my first company, I was the one who built the teams. So I took the interview process and we defined a lot of things. But then, when things are not yours, when you are already getting into some team where it's already built, that's the challenge. And how you establish yourself within the team or place yourself within the team, that is where the real part of emotional intelligence comes in. And we had all sorts of things going on, and as meek as a cat was the initial situation, but the team started roaring towards like 2.5 months later I joined. So
Yeah,
that was
great.
the situation with Immerse. Thank you. Yeah.
I remember, I think I have heard the interview of Steve Jobs. Someone
Yeah.
asked him, what is the best product he has, developed till now, like iPhone, anything like Mac.
Mm.
He said the best product he has developed till now is the team. He
Team.
is
Yes. True.
best of minds and they are doing the best of work.
True.
So
True.
very important, right? Okay.
That's absolutely true.